Hello, everyone. My name is Alex, and today I want to share something truly personal, something that changed not just my communication skills, but my entire personality, confidence, and way of living. This is not just about learning a language. It's about how one decision to learn English completely transformed my life, my thoughts, my opportunities, and even the way I see myself today. You see, there was a time when I was a shy boy from a small town in Ohio, sitting quietly in the back of the class, afraid to speak, afraid to express my thoughts, and terrified that people might laugh at my broken English. I still remember those moments when I wanted to say something, but my words just wouldn't come out. My mind went blank, my throat got dry, and my heart started racing. But over the years, something amazing happened. Slowly, I started building confidence. Step by step, mistake by mistake, until one day I realized English had become a part of who I am. It wasn't just a language anymore. It was a bridge that connected me to people, opportunities, and a life I never imagined I could have. Before I take you deep into my story, how I started, what struggles I faced, how I practiced, how I failed, and how I finally transformed, I want to ask you two simple questions. Question 1. Has learning English ever made you feel scared or insecure? Like you might never be fluent enough? Question 2. Do you believe English can really change your life? Not just your career, but your confidence and how you see yourself? Think about it, and please share your answers in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one because this topic is very close to my heart. Now let's begin my story. The real journey of how English changed my life forever. My beginning. The boy who couldn't speak. I grew up in a quiet neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. My parents weren't highly educated, but they worked hard to give me everything they could. My dad worked at a car repair shop, and my mom ran a small bakery from home. They both spoke very basic English, just enough to get by. At school, English was the language everyone spoke. But for me, it was the language of fear. I could read it, I could write it a little, but speaking it felt like climbing a mountain barefoot. Every time the teacher asked me to introduce myself or explain something in front of the class, my hands would start shaking. My classmates would look at me, waiting for my words, and I'd freeze. I remember once I said, "My name are Alex," and everyone laughed. That laughter burned into my memory for years. After that, I avoided speaking English as much as possible. I'd rather stay silent than make a mistake. But deep inside, I knew. If I wanted to grow, if I wanted to go beyond my small town, I had to face this fear. One day when I was 17, I went with my cousin to a shopping mall in Cleveland. He spoke fluent English, confidently, naturally. While talking to the cashier, the manager, even strangers, people listened to him. They smiled. They respected him. I just stood there quietly, nodding and pretending to understand everything. That day, I realized something very powerful. The world listens to those who can express themselves. English wasn't just a subject, it was a tool, a key that could open doors for me. When we came back home, I told myself, "Alex, no one is going to do this for you. You've got to learn English no matter how long it takes." That night, I made a decision that changed my entire life. The first steps, my practice journey. I didn't have much money to join big English classes or buy fancy books. So I started with what I had, my phone and the internet. I began watching YouTube videos of people speaking English, motivational speakers, vloggers, and English learners sharing their experiences. At first, I couldn't understand half of what they said. Their speed, their accent. Everything sounded like a blur, but I didn't give up. I watched the same videos again and again until I started catching small phrases like, believe in yourself. You can do this. It's okay to make mistakes. These words hit me hard. They became my daily motivation. Then I started practicing speaking, not with people, but with myself. I used to stand in front of the mirror every morning and talk to my reflection. I'd say things like, hey Alex, how are you today? What did you learn yesterday? What are your plans for the day? It felt awkward at first. I laughed at myself. But slowly, those small conversations became my daily ritual. My secret habit: thinking in English. One of the biggest changes happened when I started thinking in English. Before that, every time I wanted to speak, my brain used to translate from my native language into English. And by the time I finished, the conversation had already moved on. So I decided to stop translating. Whenever I looked at something, I'd name it in English. For example, if I saw a tree, I'd say in my mind, that's a tree. It's beautiful. If I was eating, I'd think, I'm having breakfast. It tastes good. Slowly, English became part of my inner voice. And that's when I started feeling free. I wasn't memorizing grammar rules anymore. I was living the language. One summer, I took a part-time job at a coffee shop in Cincinnati. The manager, a kind woman named Lisa, always encouraged me to speak English with the customers. At first, it was terrifying. What if I said something wrong? What if customers laughed? But Lisa told me, people don't care about your accent, Alex. They care about your attitude. That sentence changed me. From that day on, I started talking to everyone who walked into the cafe, smiling, greeting, asking how their day was. My sentences weren't perfect, but my heart was. With every conversation, my confidence grew a little more. And one day, a regular customer told me, you speak great English, Alex. I like your energy. That compliment was small, but it felt like winning a gold medal. How English changed my world. Once I became confident in English, my world expanded in ways I never imagined. I got accepted into a community college in Chicago, where all the lectures were in English. Earlier, I would have panicked, but now I felt excited. I started meeting people from different states and even other countries. I made friends from New York, Texas, and California. We talked, laughed, shared stories, and every time I spoke English, I didn't feel like a learner anymore. I felt like a communicator. My confidence grew not just in language, but in life. I started giving presentations, leading group projects, even volunteering at local events. People began to see me as confident, social, and expressive. But they didn't know the years of quiet practice behind it. The emotional change, from shy to confident learning English, didn't just give me opportunities. It healed something inside me. Before, I used to doubt myself all the time. I thought I wasn't good enough, smart enough, or confident enough. But English became the mirror that showed me my true strength. Every mistake I made, every time I failed to pronounce a word correctly, it taught me patience, resilience, and self-belief. Confidence, I realized, doesn't come from perfection. It comes from progress. And once I learned that, I started applying it everywhere, in my studies, in my relationships, even in job interviews. How English built my career. After finishing college, I applied for a marketing position in Los Angeles. During the interview, everything was in English. I could have been nervous, but surprisingly, I wasn't. I looked at the interviewer, smiled, and spoke naturally, the same way I used to practice in front of my mirror years ago. When I got that job, I remember calling my mom and crying. Not because I got hired, but because I realized how far I'd come. From a boy who couldn't speak a full English sentence, to a professional presenting in fluent English to clients from across the world. English gave me more than a job. It gave me a voice. Now I travel across the United States, meeting new people, giving talks, and even mentoring others who struggle with the same fear I once had. Whenever someone says, "I'm scared to speak English," I tell them, so was I. But confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build with every attempt, every word, every mistake. If I could go back in time and meet that shy boy from Ohio, I'd tell him, "Don't be afraid, Alex. One day, this language will become your superpower." My message to you: if you're listening to this and you feel stuck, if you feel like you'll never be fluent, I want you to know, you will. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday soon, you'll speak confidently, naturally, beautifully. Don't compare yourself with others. Everyone's journey is different. Celebrate your small wins. That's how transformation happens. English didn't just help me talk to the world. It helped me talk to myself with love and confidence. You know, when people see me today, speaking confidently, talking on stage, or even making YouTube videos like this, they often assume I was always like this. But that's far from the truth. If you had met me 10 years ago, you wouldn't recognize me. I was the kind of person who avoided every situation that involved English. Whenever someone started speaking in English, I would silently wish the ground would open and swallow me whole. I remember one incident so vividly, it still gives me chills when I think about it. Tadi, the most embarrassing day of my life. It was during my high school years in Columbus. We had an English speaking competition, and one of my teachers, Miss Laura, encouraged me to participate. She said, "Alex, I believe in you. You can do this." But inside, I didn't believe in myself at all. Still, I agreed, maybe out of respect for her, or maybe because deep down I wanted to prove to myself that I could speak. The day came. I went on stage. My hands were sweating, my heart pounding so loud that I could hear it echo in my ears. I looked at the audience, my classmates, my teachers, all staring at me. I opened my mouth to speak, and for the first 5 seconds, nothing came out. My mind went blank. Then, in panic, I said something like, "Good morning, everyone. I, I am, uh, talking about," and then silence again. The room was so quiet that I could hear a pin drop. Someone at the back giggled, and that laughter shattered my confidence. I ran off stage. I didn't even finish my speech. That night, I cried. I felt humiliated, embarrassed, and angry at myself. I told my mom, "I will never speak English again." But my mom hugged me and said something I'll never forget. "Alex, if you stop trying, you'll stay the same. But if you try again, you'll grow." Those words stayed with me forever. The rebuild. Starting from zero. After that day, something inside me changed. I didn't want to stay afraid. I wanted to change. So I started small. Every night before bed, I would take one English book and read one page aloud. My pronunciation was bad, my speed was slow, but I didn't stop. I started writing short paragraphs about my day in English. Simple ones, like, "Today I went to school. I learned something new. I talked to my friend." At first, it looked childish, but with time, my sentences became longer, smoother, and clearer. Then I started watching English movies with subtitles. One of my favorites was The Pursuit of Happiness, the story of a man who never gave up. That movie inspired me deeply. I began repeating the dialogues out loud. When Will Smith said, "Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something," it felt like he was talking directly to me. I began collecting such motivational quotes in a notebook and reading them every morning. That's how I started building my relationship with English, not just as a language, but as my friend. The mindset change. Stop judging yourself. There's something important I learned in my journey. Fluency doesn't come from speaking perfectly. It comes from speaking fearlessly. For a long time, I thought people would judge me for my accent or my grammar mistakes. But then I realized native speakers don't care. They appreciate when someone tries. It was me, who was judging myself the hardest. Once I stopped doing that, everything changed. I started talking more, laughing at my mistakes, and even correcting myself without feeling embarrassed. Whenever I forgot a word, I'd say, "I don't know that word, but I'll find another way to say it." That little trick helped me a lot, because confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's about staying calm when you don't. My daily English routine. I created a simple but powerful daily routine that completely boosted my English confidence. 1. Morning practice. I used to start my day by talking to myself for 5 minutes in English. I'd look in the mirror and say, "Good morning, Alex. Let's make today a great day. What are your plans?" This helped me sound more natural and build fluency. 2. Listening practice. During breakfast, I'd play an English podcast, motivational talks, English lessons, or interviews. Even if I didn't understand everything, my ears started getting used to the rhythm of English. 3. Vocabulary notebook. I had a small blue notebook where I wrote 5 new English words every day. But I didn't just memorize them. I made sentences using those words. That's how they became part of my active vocabulary. 4. Speaking with strangers. This was the toughest part. I forced myself to start conversations at cafes, stores, even bus stops. At first, it felt awkward, but with each try, it became easier. 5. Night reflection. Before sleeping, I used to write a short journal in English about my day. What went well, what didn't, and what I learned. Over time, this routine became my secret weapon. Confidence beyond words. Something amazing started happening. The more English I spoke, the more confident I became. Not just in speaking, but in everything. I started walking with my head held higher. I started volunteering for class presentations. I started expressing my opinions clearly. People began noticing. My teacher said, "Alex, you've changed." My friend said, "You're more confident now." But what they didn't know was that English was shaping me internally. Like a sculptor shaping a statue. It wasn't just about learning new words. It was about discovering my new self. English and opportunities. When I was in college in Chicago, something magical happened. One day, a professor told us about an opportunity, a summer internship at a marketing company. I wanted to apply, but the entire interview process was in English. The old Alex would have said, "No way." But the new Alex said, "Let's try." During the interview, they asked, "Why do you think you're a good fit for this role?" And I replied confidently, "Because I don't just want to work. I want to learn, and I'm not afraid to start from the bottom." That answer impressed them. I got the internship. That was the first time I saw how English could literally open doors to new opportunities, doors that were invisible before. The emotional side. The person I became. English didn't just give me career success, it gave me emotional confidence too. Earlier, I used to feel shy talking to new people. I avoided social gatherings. I thought I wasn't interesting enough. But once I started speaking English more fluently, I began connecting with people from different backgrounds. People from California, New York, Florida, even Canada. Each conversation taught me something new, not just about the language, but about life, culture, and human connection. I started realizing that when you can express yourself freely, you stop hiding who you are. That's what English gave me. The courage to be myself. How English strengthened my self-belief. One of the most powerful lessons I learned was that English isn't about intelligence. It's about persistence. There were days when I felt stuck, days when I thought I'd never be fluent, but I kept reminding myself, even if I move one step every day, I'm still moving forward. I learned to celebrate small victories, like using a new word correctly or speaking without hesitation for 30 seconds. Because when you celebrate small progress, it becomes your motivation to keep going. Slowly, those tiny victories became massive confidence. Helping others with English. When I moved to Los Angeles, for my job, I started volunteering to help other English learners, especially immigrants and international students. I taught them the same methods I used: mirror speaking, journaling, and daily English thinking. Watching them improve reminded me of my own journey. One girl told me, "Alex, I was scared to speak English, but your story gave me hope." That sentence made me emotional, because I realized my struggle had a purpose. The truth about confidence. Here's what I learned after all these years. Confidence doesn't magically appear when you're fluent. It grows while you're learning. Every time you push yourself to speak, every time you make a mistake and correct it, you're building confidence. You don't need to wait for perfect grammar or accent. You just need courage. I still make mistakes sometimes, but now I smile and say, "Hey, English is my second language. I'm proud of that." That's real confidence. The deepest lesson English taught me. The biggest transformation wasn't in my pronunciation or vocabulary. It was in my mindset. Before, I thought confidence came from outside, from praise, from success, from other people's approval. But English taught me that real confidence comes from within, from your willingness to grow, to fail, and to rise again. Learning English became my mirror of self-discovery. I learned that when you master your fear, you can master anything. My message for you. If you're watching this right now and thinking, "I can't do this," let me tell you, I once thought the same. But I promise you, if I can do it, you can too. Don't focus on being perfect. Focus on being consistent. Don't worry about how people see you. Worry about how you see yourself. Because the moment you start believing in yourself, English stops being difficult. It becomes your friend. Dastra, final words. English changed my life. It changed my confidence. It changed the way I dream, the way I work, the way I connect with the world. I went from being a shy, nervous boy in Ohio to a confident, expressive man living his dream in Los Angeles. And if you're on your English journey right now, don't give up. You're not just learning a language, you're building a new version of yours, of yourself. So, my dear friends, tell me in the comments, what's your biggest fear about speaking English? And what's one dream you want to achieve with it? I'll be waiting to read your answers. Thank you for staying with me till the end. Remember, your words have power. Use them. Share them. Believe in them. Because English might be a language, but confidence, that's your voice. Stay confident, stay inspired, and never stop speaking.